Hey everyone, it's Simon from Higher Plane Games. Hope you're all having a grand day. This is Cityscape, and thank you for the developer for sending me across a copy to take a look at. It seems to be a one-man team that's making this city builder, and although it's been released and it's not saying it's in early access, there seems to be continuous updates going on. So we're already on 1.0.4 and it's only been out for a couple of weeks, and the developers already said that there's 3 more big chunky updates coming over the next 6 weeks or so, which I hope will make this game a bit more of a holistic experience, because for a city builder it's got really interesting but skewed ways of dealing with certain things, where some stuff is really simplified to the point where you're not really sure what if you're doing is right or wrong, and other stuff you could get lost in for ages. So it's a city builder crossed with a political like design your own type of government and reap the consequences type game. This is your map, and you can do randomly generated, and you can use the sliders to decide what's going where. Quite often though, I find that the sliders don't always really play ball, so be wary of that before you get going. I'm going to use this map actually, and we'll start vaguely down here. I feel like we've got too much desert in this one. In fact, actually, let's just show you what the generation is. So if I'm not fussed about desert, quite happy to have not a lot of jungle, but I do want some forest, but I'm not too fussed about water. And we'll have some mountains as well. Let's generate a new one. You can also change the type of tiles as well, but we'll stick with continental for now. So you can see it's kind of, there's less water on this one, and plenty. Oh, actually, that's quite good. So let's dive into here, and we'll start our little town here. So you create your state, you give your state a name. So what should we call this? Let's call it. I know what we'll call it. We'll call it Pinkyville. And then you get to design your flag, and I actually really like that you get to design your flag. So if I kind of do I don't know what I'll do, like a weird Battenberg type thing. This is why I was never allowed to do design at school. So it's very simple, but it does really help you make more of your experience, I think, just because it's another layer of personalisation, and I'm all about personalisation in games. That'll do, won't it? Yeah. And then what it does is it helps you decide what type of state that you want to do right from the very off. So it will ask you, we believe, let's talk about mankind. The right to health, dignity and non-discrimination, of course. I think we should all be on an equal pill. But you can change stuff up, and it will start to tell you, like, we're now a liberal welfare state, or you can like go completely off and it will start. Oh, what was that? A liberal oligarchy. Sorry. So it really depends on exactly what type of thing that you want, and that's already sets out like the creation of what you want people to do over time. So I'm quite liberal. So yeah, you can have private property so long as it doesn't start taking over the entire world. About the economy, social ownership for the means of production. No, I don't want to go so complete socialist. But I'm quite liberal. I think there should be general stuff, and then you can look at taxes as to whether you want stuff to be progressive. Do you want a flat tax, or do you want taxes to equalise wages so that everyone's all on the same wage? But then that will have problems for you later on. Well, each choice has a consequence, and I really like that about Cityscape. So Pinkyville is made, and let me just pause this quickly. So a new state has been established. Oh, Hallelujah, hallelujah. So problem number one to start off is that you can't do anything in pause menu, and sometimes I really feel like in city builders you need pause menu to work so that you can actually do something. You can see our little flags down there and the type of state that we've got, Rinkyville, and then you have your economy down here, and you have three different types of residency: lower, middle and upper density, and that kind of translates to the type of people that you'll get coming in. Lower density obviously means less people and less wages in general, but yeah, you kind of need to work out what you're going to do with that. Similarly with trade, how that comes about. Budgeting is here to help you know what your cash flow is. It is so easy to go bankrupt in this game. It's very difficult. And a lot of that also depends on the type of decisions that you make as to whether you're going to be a state that gives or a state that controls and dictates. And then you have your stock market to try and get loans and stuff like that. So I'm going to come out of pause mode because I can't actually do anything at the moment with that. And we will build a road. So let's build a road straight off the bat. Crumbs, I need to do that. And there is no proper like delete and regain your money if you press something wrong. So you really have to be quite quick at things. So I'm just immediately going to go into cultivating for farms, because farms is the way how you start to get some economy actually into the game itself. What you'll also see is you'll need to destroy and reclaim that desert land before you can actually place what you want in it, like farmland. Now, what's really interesting about this as well is that you can do rows of stuff 3 deep, and they will say that they are connected to a road, so you don't need to like ring stuff round, and that's really good, I think, in my opinion. So that really helps stuff out. Up on the very top here you also have this issue bar, and this is where you start to fine-tune everything that you want as a... I'm going to pause it again whilst I explain, because otherwise money will be draining away because we're already on a minus cash flow. And these different decisions will help you understand what your type of state is like. So for instance, we've got finance regulations here. To what extent do financial products be regulated? No regulation at all? Whatevers. Banks have to be certified by the government to operate. As much as the product they sell. Risky financial products are not allowed. All financial transactions have to be approved by the government. Banks are state-owned. Individuals and corporates can only borrow money from the government. So it starts to kind of say, like, what do you want to happen? But every single thing that you ask for will have a consequence based on the middle, upper and lower economy brackets that you're going to be asking for. So I'm going to say banks need to be certified from the government to operate as much as the products that they sell. So I will approve that. No one cares in the middle income bracket because it's all the same for them. However, the middle income class are like, what the hell, you're going to ruin me. The upper income population, though, are like, yay, bring it on, because I can now make a business and make a profit. Because there's freedom in what they do, that's helped me with my freedom index. Civil rights, there's no change. And because we've got no banks in at the moment, it's no impact on the budget. But as more legislation comes on board, that will start to be much more interesting and not confused, but much more interesting to deal with over time. So let's build out some low density stuff. And I will literally just do that for the time being, because what I found with this game is that you really have to go very, very, very slowly. Because otherwise you end up racking up debt for basically people not being able to upgrade the type of residency that they've got. As quality of life and things like that improve, then you'll be able to expand on your area and so on and so forth as you go. I'm going to build another road here though, just for the time being. And you can see, look, they're all like mowing off. I know it's quite minimal or minimalistic the way how things go and there's only several frames, but the fact that it's moving and doing something really, really helps me out. And I'm used to games like Constructor and things like that. So there, the economy is not great at the moment. So we are only making stuff from food stuff. So essentially I'm going to need more. 3, 4. I'm going to run that up there. And then let's do more farmland. Just because it's the cheapest way to get something done. We'll leave some forest in the middle. That'll help us with our ways of dealing with stuff there. But we can sit and work some of that out. What was that? Some forest growing there. The world does try to want to reclaim itself as you go along. So as we continue, more issues come along. We're now into year 2. Should the government fund programs for gender equality? Edit the laws that can induce inequalities. Improve the legislation, start programs in schools to raise awareness. Improve the legislation and implementation, extensive affirmation programs. So, like, it's going to cost us $3. I'm good with that. So, yay for the lower income population, but the higher income population don't like that. And all the stuff that we've just done about getting good banks in has now been ruined because we've now not got a freedom of bits and bobs coming in there. So, look, our stock market then tanks. Our credit rating has gone down because we're now in a minus cash flow. So you can see everything, and I mean everything, has a cause and effect issue here. So the next thing that you want to be able to do is to explore. And we do this with our exploration tools. And we've got some iron prospect here. So when you kick off, you need to do an underground survey. We couldn't find any stuff here, so we're going to drill deeper. We found some iron. So let's allow some exploitation. There we go. And then that starts to bring in some more trade for us from the iron stuff. So it just helps us kind of rebuff back up. So now our cash flow is a bit better again. Although it does take you a little bit initially to kind of get stuff going. And this is kind of how the game runs, is that you really have to decide how you're going to fund your type of state, because if you go liberal like what I have, you need to be able to be farming your arse off or destroying all of the land for getting iron and ore in, and oil if you're going to start mining all over the shop, which I've not really done here. So yeah, you really have to be quite nippy, is what I always say to that. Let's get some medium people in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So that's a bit cheeky in that I'm doing quite big things here, but I'm trying to show you a bit of the game without it kind of being boring and me ending up bankrupt immediately. But as you can see, like, my cash flow is still not great. I could really do with a park, actually. Let's pop in a park. There we go. Isn't that cute? There we go. So we'll get some more bits in there. So I only want a few bits of low density. And there you go. You've got your census tool there to say whether or not you've got road access, how much it costs to maintain something, what it does with the land value, that kind of stuff there. Also, what you've got in your budget is what you want to give for people in terms of tax and so on and so forth. So we've got a percentage of tax of 1, 3 and 6. It's very low. So let's put in some education, healthcare and stuff like that there. And there you can see now, look, our GDP is growing because we've got things coming in. Gambling in casinos. All gambling business allowed, no licenses required. Limit number of casino licenses and regular inspections. Sports betting tolerated. I'm quite happy to go. Let's do that. So that helps the lower and the higher class, because the lower want to gamble, the higher want to run the business, middle feel a bit left out. So that's a shame for them. But never mind, because we need to look at what if and when we're going to start asking for some upper income. Because look, no one wants to come yet. This is all about what do we want to have in the stuff here. And now our GDP is dropping again because we aren't keeping up with demand. We put in those mediums. But they're all filled with low income people, as you can see there on the census tool. So yeah, we are not upholding our end of the bargain. Did we not put in... I thought I put in medium density in there. Oh well, never mind. It will sort itself out. So we need to explore some more bits and bobs. So that's got no iron ore prospect at all. This is 70% though. So let's start a survey there. Nothing was found immediately, so we get the choice to drill deeper. Thankfully, we found some iron ore. Has that got road access? No. There we go, now it has. Let's do that. So, elsewhere that you've got, and it's things that will come along later on, you've got archaeologies, which is where you'll start to get like monument type things that you want. Ploppables are just your parks and so on and so forth as you go along. Building roads can go for a 4-lane, 6-lane or an 8-lane, but look at the monthly cost that's associated with that. So obviously don't go nuts on roads before you need to. And remember that you can... residential things within 3 spaces are counted as having a road. So I wish I'd known that on my first go when I created Hobo Town. Yes, I genuinely did. But there you go again. So the medium density, look, it's 5 times more expensive to maintain. Same with the high density is then twice again. So that's why you need to really watch out with what you wish for, really. Let's do another one, and then we'll leave that there. So we've got another issue: greenhouse gas standards. To what extent should the government encourage low carbon emissions? So again, if you don't support it, then that's fine, but you'll earn more if you start doing severe regulations for all things. So I'm going to impose taxes on all individual and corporate gas emitters, or additional tax on polluting industries, I think we'll go for as well. So that's kind of a relatively soft stance on it, but you can change things later on. But look, that helped everyone kind of dive up. It didn't change anything on our civil index, which is good. So stability is kind of your stability of your power. Immigration is something that you'll get to at a later point, where you can decide to open and close your borders. Christ, we're on a minus cash flow again. Why are we on a minus cash flow? Ugh. I feel like we need to do more iron. Well, actually, no, we'll need to do more forests. So let's do Not more forest, more farmland. So again, we can sit and play with the trade on that. And if you get stuck, you can start to increase and decrease all of the stuff. So there you can see our big thing at the moment is that we've got so many utility lots that we're paying out tax to, utility upkeep to, that we're kind of like, okay, we're done now. We need to basically wait for things to upgrade as we go. Let's I'm a sucker for keeping things nice and ordinary, so must have things in rows. So I don't want to really stick in yet more of this, especially now that our cash flow is in the plus. And there you can see cars are now starting to be used because this part is now starting to be dense and much better. So you can see the land value, stage 2, maximum of 2. There we go. So this has got a maximum of 5 that it can upgrade to. And what I would say is that even if you've got demand, make sure that everything is upgraded, or most stuff is upgraded, before you start moving on to other stuff, because otherwise you're just paying out for more utility stuff on lots that aren't reaching their potential yet. And that's what I mean about slowly catchy monkey with this game. However, as the game is as it is now, whilst you do get to unlock more and more legislation, and you can see all the different types of stuff that you've got here, this legislation side of the game is really in depth, and I absolutely love it. And the longer that you stay around, once you've then had issues raised and answered and you know where you stand on everything, you can start to really play things around. So we're a liberal democracy, but you can start flipping these around once you've answered them all over time, so that you can then form a state that's something different. So you can like proper go Nazi-ish if you'd like. Subsidies for businesses. What are the industries the government should subsidise? Grant tax reduction for health and education. Subsidise low-income housing estate. Let's do those. So that helps the middle and high. And yes, it does ruin some of our budget. But what I'm hoping is that that will then increase people wanting to come in and do stuff. Still got plenty of reserve in it, so that's all good. Okay. So what else do we fancy going for? So that's got quite a lot of iron in. Ooh, so is that. More farmland coming in, and we don't necessarily need to do all of this farmland long term, but it will help us for now. But as you can kind of see, you're already getting into a cash flow balance, how fast do I go, how slow do I go type thing. And the issue that I kind of have with Cityscape at the moment is that whilst they're starting to add in things like air travel and stuff like that, it's essentially more of the same and just waiting for things to upgrade and grow. And because it feels really good on the political side of stuff, but some of the stuff like how do I play with budget, if I started to raise and lower taxes, you'll start to see my stability go up and down of how stable my country is, and state is, and it's so reactionary to the point where if I put this up a percent on all of them, essentially my city would start to crash down. And that's the problem, is that sometimes you feel a little bit constricted in some of the choices that you can or can't do in this game. Let's finish this off with some more low densities in there now that we've got a cash flow coming in. And yeah, it just feels a little bit like we are struggling just a smidge with like where to go from the end game, because it's all very well setting things up and trying to get like a business side of stuff going, but I don't understand where the end game for Cityscape then ends up taking you to. It's very cheap for a city builder, and I wouldn't say like this is going to be challenging or taking on your likes of City Skylines and stuff like that, where you are proper going in and really modding and creating your own town that you absolutely love and adore. In some ways, I liken this game almost as much to Constructor meets Democracy. That kind of analogy might be lost in some people, but the democracy side of stuff, I think the political stuff is really fascinating, but the city building stuff is simplified to the point where it's just a bit awkward. Let's do that. Middle class liked us for once. But we got more on the civil rights points, so that's good. But again, all of these things for winning favour with the public come usually at you losing some of your budget, which then means you then have to hack some more of the world to try and get your budget back. And you can see this reserve goes down, so it's not as if you've got unlimited supply of that, which is why farming really needs to be a good little side thing, especially early on in the game. So everything is kind of being upgraded here. I'm still not looking at getting any more things in, but yeah, I think because you only have 3 types of income class, so it's not necessarily zoned by residential, commercial, industrial so much. It's just your income is low, your income is middle, your income is upper, and that kind of interplay. It's a different way of looking at things, but it really doesn't help you when you're trying to decide what's best for your state. And I hope that kind of makes sense for people as we go along. Got nothing in gold coming in. And if you get stuck, you've got bonds where you can do a 48 month repayment. The lower your credit rating, or the worse your credit rating, the more interest rate they start to ask you to pay back. And you essentially, as soon as you start taking bonds, you're buggered and you're in a spiral of debt that you just can't get back out of again unless you are mining and excavating ad infinitum to the end of the world. So yeah, this is Cityscape. I like it for what it is at the moment. I think there's still quite a way to go in terms of making it a properly, wholly defined city builder, along with a political decider. Yeah, have a little look. It's out now. I quite like it. I've been quite harsh, haven't I? But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Let's do that, but keep the mountain, because we can road it. Then we can... Oh yeah, we can definitely do that. One day I'll actually get iron straight off the bat. And we will... There we go. Job done. Oh, and then last issue before we round off. Cash flow is exactly 0. Great. Space program. The government should start a space program. I don't feel like this is the right time for us to start a space program. We're still trying to build some farms. No one cares. The freedom index goes up though. And that unlocks a spaceport. Budget is in surplus. We should allocate some funds to education and security. 15 spent per thingy bob is a good start. Okay, will do. Although we're not really in budget of stuff now. Now we're running at a loss. Ouch. So let's build some more roads. 3. I hate that you can't just undo stuff. Because now that will cost for us to clear that out. Ah! Well, at least there's a roundabout, I guess. Nice to know that you can, even if I don't want to. Thank you very much. And you can reclaim land, so you can see that from water there. You've got the 200 to reclaim. And once something is dry, you can basically destroy it because it's then carnage rubble, and go from there. So yeah, that's Cityscape available now. I hope that was of interest. Thank you very much for joining us along for the ride. And I may still come back to this probably in about a couple of months' time, just to see what the update of it is from where we are now. Because I think there's a good foundation here. It just needs more to keep you going beyond where we already kind of are, because a lot of the decisions that you then make and how things run are very hands-off. So yeah, take care all, bye for now. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.